Morning, everyone. Oh, it's almost afternoon actually. I am doing this on my laptop today, so I hope this is working properly. Um, so, I received a question yesterday from Melissa about how I started a Companease or created Companease. So, that is such a brilliant question because I did not realize that I haven't answered that across the board of creating my business. I think I've said, briefly like what it is and that sort of stuff, but I haven't really answered or explained the story of why or how I created it. So I'm going to do my best to answer it this morning. My the start of the day has been a little bit slow for me. Do you ever struggle with just basic morning routine or self care activities? Because I definitely do. I had to kind of tick off a few things this morning just to, get out of bed, have a shower, brush my teeth, eat food. Sometimes those tasks can get a little bit difficult, but I'm here, and there's been some other things that kind of I've um, learned this morning, but I'll talk about that maybe a little bit later. So I will answer the question. So basically, when I kind of spawned from the concept that I was kind of sick of being burnt out. I love my job. I loved my jobs. I've worked with children in a variety of different settings for across the years since I was 17. So I think I'm 22 this year. So for about, how long is that? I can't do my maths, but 8 years maybe of my working life I've been employed, and I have never pursued a job really that I haven't had a passion for, basically. And usually that passion surrounds interacting with people and associating with children. Like the role primarily involves children in some way. Um, so I worked in childcare and out of our school care as my last roles in my employment life. I loved the job, was really happy. I was in a role that I was thoroughly enjoying. I was also studying my bachelor's in primary school, so that was kind of helping the role as well. I was kind of learning on the job, I guess. Um, and it just kind of spawned from, I guess I was losing that passion. I was losing that drive to get up out of bed, go to work, create the activities for the kids, um, you know, do the daily activities and the numerous tasks that are involved in the role. And I guess I was kind of, I want to put this as gently as I can, but I guess I've struggled to word it in the right way. But basically, I was kind of tired of all the rules and policies and procedures that eventually, like, as much as they do protect, businesses, and as a business myself, I've realized there are some necessary rules and policies and procedures that that are part of, you know, having a business, basically to protect you for liability reasons, etc. It kind of showed me that I was losing sight. I was focusing so much on the policies and procedures that I was losing sight of the well-being of the children, of the family, on a holistic basis. I was so focused on trying to tick off all these reports and get all these activities and curriculum-based stuff and everything ticked off. And even during my bachelor's, I was learning that we don't actually have complete, I guess, control in the creative sense of the classroom. And I just wanted to get down with the kids, get down and dirty, I guess, where you just kind of, spend time with kids, get all messy and throw sand at each other or get muddy and all that kind of stuff. The stuff that children naturally just want to do and follow their curiosity. And I was kind of losing that because I was so focused on trying to get all those necessary tasks when I was losing sight of the children. So um, I was getting really burnt out, and I was finding that I really wanted to focus on the whole family because I realized, and the whole child, I was realizing that, these children are coming into the classroom, um, struggling to learn, struggling to manage their emotions, struggling to um, ask for help, and struggling to eat, and all these kind of things that I was going, oh my goodness, like what is there, what is the core of those needs? Like, how do we meet those needs better and more effectively? So I yeah, I kind of became dissatisfied with my role because you are limited in certain regards. In that regard, you can't, control their home environment. You can't control what their sleep was like the night before and that sort of stuff. So there's a limited capacity in which, and also the focus on the education curriculum and that sort of stuff you have to fulfill. And that's what childcare and school settings and things like that are designed for. It's, educating the children, but you also need to focus, like, you can't educate children without meeting their primary needs. There's so many different theories and studies and that sort of stuff that support that, where you have to meet, the emotional needs, the physical needs, their security needs, all of that sort of stuff before you can even get to teaching them their ABCs and all those other things. So from there, I was like, all right, I guess that was the tipping point in some regards, where I guess I had been noticing a lot over my employment and my volunteer experiences. I was raised in a church. There was so many different aspects of my life that was starting to pop up, where I was noticing a consistent trend on the concept that people were so career focused, so, success focused and all that we kind of forget those basic needs, those self-care activities, those good hygiene, good food habits, good, emotional security and all that sort of stuff. And we burn ourselves out. Like, we kind of, go beyond burnout to some extent, like, so I guess I kind of was like, okay, I need to resign from my job, or at least one of my jobs that was taking up a lot of my emotional and physical energy. I was getting sick a lot as well. I needed a lot of time off, and as a result of needing time off, I was finding that I was not able to fulfill my role to the extent I needed to. I wasn't able to help my team to the extent I needed to. They were pulling a lot of the load, and I was really appreciative of them. And, it is about teamwork, but there is a certain capacity in which you can provide your role, especially if you're burnt out, like, you're very limited, and there's only a certain number of days you can take off sick and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm going to resign from this. I'm going to just have, maintain my other job, which was after school care or something, to the bare minimum where I could pay my bills, and that's it. And I resigned within a week, I think it was. And I was like, right, I need to run my own business. That was the solution. And, in my head, it was like, okay, if I run my own business, I'm able to take off the time that I need to. I'm able to basically work for my money. But at the same time be able to do whatever I wanted with my business, obviously within reason, like legally, but I could do whatever I wanted. I could meet the needs of the whole family, or at least try to support the needs of the whole family, rather than just focus on the children. Like, I wanted to be able to get to know the families. I wanted to, there were mums coming in younger than me, who were working the same hours and the same, rates and all that as me, and they had children to take care of. And it's like, where, how could I help these families, meet their basic needs. So that's kind of where it was spawned from, because I was like, oh, okay, people have a lot of anxiety going shopping sometimes. There are single parents with children trying to do their shopping trips, the basic, grocery shopping. I know there's lots of like click and collect and that sort of stuff, but I go shopping, and you want to go out, you want to go out and pick your own groceries. You want to go out and take them, to your doctor's appointments and that sort of stuff. But so I kind of, and even I've had experience with nursing homes and the older generation, and they kind of get lost in the system as well, especially even the disabled, population as well, where you it kind of they kind of get lost in the system, and we as humans kind of become numbers in systems, rather than, we're all independent individual people who have emotional needs and securities that you need to focus on. And so even the elderly population, when I volunteered in nursing homes, I realized, they just want to chat. They get lonely. They get you oh, it's just, yeah, there were certain holes in the system that get lost as a result of trying to follow policies and procedures and protect liability, and even just the drive to just make money. Like, and I fully support, and I'm in complete agreement that yes, we do need to pay our bills. Yes, we do need to we always have the drive to make lots of money and that sort of stuff. But if that stops you from focusing on you and who you are, and you forget that you're independent and separate from everyone else, and that you all contribute to an environment and to a world where you all have your unique perspectives and experiences, and your own traumas or your own joys or your own loves and all that kind of stuff, that you kind of lose sight of all of that as a result of trying to make money. It's like, well, is that worth it? Like, is it worth sacrificing all of that for barely paying your bills? So I'm not judging anyone who makes that choice, but it's like, I'm pretty sure a lot of us reach points of burnout, forget, or find it hard or struggle to meet our basic needs, or even don't even know what our basic needs are, because we've grown up in a environment where it's always about, paying those bills, or feeding the family, or all of that sort of stuff. Like, who are you? Who am I? Like, I'm Grace, but what creates me? So this is kind of a long-winded answer. I get really passionate about this, so I'm doing my best to answer it, like, to the extent that you can understand. It's just, I guess I was noticing a lot of gaps in society as a result of focusing on money, careers, and paying the bills, that I really, and I noticed where I could help, where I could, and make a little and pay the bills myself, but also be able to focus on my general well-being. I wanted to be able to sleep when I needed to. I wanted to feed myself on times of the day that I wasn't rushing my food, or I wasn't eating shit food. I wanted to figure out, how I could look after me first before I could help other people. And my career choices, or my jobs, or my education and stuff wasn't enabling me to the extent that I needed to, or giving me that freedom and flexibility that I needed to be able to focus on what was going on with me. So yeah, I kind of then, if you look past on my previous posts, and even on my business page, you'll notice that initially I was providing, 6 specific services. One of them being, a shopping assistant, and coffee and chat, and all these different services, and companionship. And that's also part of where that name of the business came from, where I was like, okay, companionship with ease, like that. I guess it was that was kind of where that name came from, where it's like, all right, easy companionship, you know, like easy like be able to be around people that makes it easier. So or we're providing opportunities to make it easier to exist within your environment, um, and have opportunities to look after yourself, be okay with being with yourself, you know. So um so I guess that's that in a nutshell. So I guess the reason for the changes was that as a result of creating my business and being so passionate about it, because this is what happens to me. I get so passionate and so driven towards, you know, doing everything, that I got slightly burnt out myself towards the end of December. But I was reaching, that was almost like a good burnout, where I was like, I was really glad that I was working so much, because I resigned from being employed in October on my birthday, as like an official thing, and it was kind of a exciting thing to get to December knowing that I was so busy that I needed to expand my team and build up, you know, build up the focus on creating a community rather than just focusing on one family or one person at a time, you know. And initially that's what happens, you know. If you can only afford helping one person, or even helping yourself one, you know, one step at a time, that's really good, you know. Focus one step at a time. And that's what I was doing. But eventually I got to the point where I was helping multiple people, multiple one people or one families at a time. And I was also learning a lot about the concept that there's a lot more to the world, and a lot more to employment and money making, and just general decision making. I began to really appreciate businesses in general, you know, noticing that all these big companies and stuff started from, you know, one person with a brain, and a skill set, you know, and an idea. And that's how it starts, you know. What are your strengths? What are your things that you want to improve on? What are the gaps that you see in society, or what do you see making success in society? And I yeah, I grew a genuine appreciation for especially small businesses, you know. Like, there's a lot of things that is involved in making a business, and it is hard. It is. I don't know if it's harder than being employed. There are certain challenges in being employed compared to being self-employed, but in the end, I don't think I'm ever going to be officially employed again. Even if money is tight, I'm going to find a way, because I genuinely believe that having my own business is what works for me. You know, I've looked at other people succeeding, and that's also part of what inspired it as well, where I was like, okay, I need freedom in relation to money choices. I need freedom in time. I need freedom in the capacity in which I can help people. I need freedom in how I create my environment. And as a result, I looked at people who had that, you know, like, I envied people who had time. I envied people who had money, and I was thinking, you know, how do they make these? How do they get there? You know, and I look at all these people making all different sources of income, and the consistent thing that I noticed was a lot of these people are self-employed, or have their own businesses, or have created their own sources of income rather than being in a contract being employed. So it isn't the answer. You know, a lot of people find that employment is consistent and stable, and that's what works for them, especially if they have families, and that's perfectly fine. I respect that. And that's how I started as well. But I didn't know that self-employment or running a business was an option, so until recently. So I think it's been about a year for me running my business, or at least starting, or deciding that that's it, and I need to make a change. I need to make a change. So it's a long story. I hope I've I hope I've made sense, and I appreciate if you've gotten to this point where you are still watching it. I don't know how long this has been for. I think this is 20 minutes long, so I appreciate if you've stuck it through. Yeah, I struggle with being concise, especially about things that I'm passionate about. Um, I may do, what I'll do as a result of this, I think I might do a post or do a description or something where I answer the question a lot more concisely. But that kind of gives an overall broad stemming of how I created my business and why. It's very hard to answer the question directly because so many different factors contributed to my decision to create my business. And eventually, I hope that, like, I'm investing, getting different sources of income to be able to pay my bills because this is interesting. I was recently thinking about the concept that when I was 8, I think I believe it was 8 because that age kind of rings a bell for me. When I was around that age, at least, I started dreaming up the idea that I wanted a house full of kids that weren't my own. For most of my life, I have even not really minded if I couldn't have children or never got the chance of giving birth, that sort of stuff. I was genuinely interested in creating a house that was filled with a community focused on bringing up the generation. Where I dreamt that the house was like dreaming, as in visualizing this house, this big mansion, I guess, where each child had their own bathroom and bedroom and environment and safe place that they could be in. Initially, when I was younger, I thought I could just take children off the street and do that, but I think a few different people, including my parents, were like, "Oh no, that's not legal. You can't just kidnap people off the street." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But now it's kind of, yeah, it's that vision is still there. I dream of creating that environment, a safe place for children, and now I guess families as well, to come, learn those basic skills on how to cook, how to budget, how to spend their money, how not to spend their money. But that's the thing, not focusing on what not to do. That's not how you do it, but focusing on, yeah, how to build success for yourself, learning who you are by meeting those basic needs, and following your interests and passions, and learning about the conditioning of yourself growing up, and learning about what your core values are and that sort of stuff. So that's always been my dream, and interestingly, and also that's affordable, affordable if not free for people to access, because that money has never been my priority in relation to I just want to take money off people. Again, not a judgment if that's what your focus is, but for myself, that's never sat well with me, where I don't want to be helping people condition, like, I don't want my providence of care to be conditional. Basically, I don't want people to be limited in their access of accessing care, accessing resources that will help them. And I'm part of many communities at the moment that I really genuinely appreciate, because I'm able to be supported, supported for, not for free as such, but just where the humanity is the prominent part, meeting those needs are the prominent part or prominent focus. So that's the direction I'm heading. Basically, I'm heading in the direction of, I want to be creating an organization that isn't money focused, that doesn't lose sight of the doesn't lose sight of the basic needs of humans, approaching it from a holistic sense, um, as in holistically focusing on the person, because if they can't learn something, for example, there has to be a reason behind that. And I'll talk more about myself in that regard, where I've learned certain things that were inhibiting my ability to learn what I wanted to learn or access what I wanted to access. And I think in future videos I'll probably do that as well. But yeah, so I started my business because of all of that. It's hard to summarize. It really is. It really, really is hard to summarize it. But yeah, at the moment I'm focusing now on building community events that are more affordable for people, while still paying my bills or accessing other sources of income for myself, so that I don't lose sight of what my passion is. You know, my passion is helping people, or providing opportunities for people. That means that I'm also focusing on myself and my emotional well-being and my physical well-being and my security as well. So that's kind of why, or how I've created it. Thank you so much for sticking this through. You could probably, I'll probably pop down in the comments how you could probably speed me up, because I don't know if people are aware that you can speed up the video a little bit without skipping me. But you know, watch this in your own time if you are genuinely curious about how I've started my business or created my business, because I genuinely want people to hear, you know, how it started, and hopefully be able to inspire someone to do a similar suggestion, or and yeah, I think that's all I can say at the moment. It's a big thing for me to be able to share this. It's actually triggering a little bit of emotion for me, because I don't think it's I've been able to support or share my story. So I appreciate the question, and feel free to keep asking questions, and I hope to talk to you later. Thank you. Bye.